is a presentation of the Oklahoma Sports Network.
Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the Oklahoma Sports Network's consent is prohibited. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be used without express written consent.
All right, and good Tuesday evening, early Tuesday evening, everyone. We're happy to be coming to you live from the Midwest City practice facilities. This is called the Coaches Room. This is also a hospitality room. And Midwest City just completed another practice as they get ready for their first game of the season. My name is Jordan Ray. Happy to be with you here. Last couple of years, I've had a lot of fun doing Middale coaches shows. Of course, that's a lot of work, and I'm looking forward to this year just focusing on my team, my school, that is Midwest City High School. And this will be a Midwest City coaches show. We're going to talk just football right now. We may bring in some other sports at the end of some episodes in the future. We are blessed to have not one but two sponsors. We have Sacred Hearts Ministry as one of our sponsors, a great place to go for biblical counseling, whether it's for your marriage or other personal needs. And then Toonie Buys Houses. Toonie Buys Houses, they buy and renovate homes. If you need, they lease, own, or finance homes, please, if you have any needs to flip houses or buy and sell a house, contact Toonie Buys Houses. And both our sponsors are led by Midwest City Bomber graduates who also played football there. So that's Scott Young for Sacred Hearts Ministry and Channing Chamberlain here for Toonie Buys Houses. All right, it's a new era for Midwest City football as they're about to begin the Jaquez Washington era, the new football coach here. And we're excited to kind of introduce him some more this episode here. He did speak some for Media Day a few days ago. Also, that's on the Oklahoma Sports Network if you want to watch that back. But, Coach, first of all, thank you for joining me. And how excited must you be? This is game week, first game week of the season, and first game week for you as a head coach.
Yes, sir. We are excited, just taking it day by day, really just learning at every phase and every step of the way, what it looks like. Sometimes when you're an assistant, some things, you just don't know how they function and how they happen behind the scenes. So I'm getting a full experience in my first week and really just taking it day by day and enjoying it. First Monday practice of the first game I'll be the head coach of. And really this group, just the unique group, and just kind of trying to put it together and just have a good product on Friday.
All right, well, let's take a deep dive into your experiences that got you here. And then we'll talk some more football for the upcoming game and stuff like that in a bit. First of all, when did you first fall in love with football?
I got three older brothers, so, I played football all the way up from flag football at 5 years old. Went 0-11 that first year with in the IBFA in Irving, Texas, and then ended up winning the championship the following year in flag football, and been playing ever since. I haven't taken a year off. Hadn't been away from the game more than a couple months. So immediately after playing, took a month off and then got into finding some coaching opportunities. So, this game has been good for me. It's given me opportunities to expose me to different areas of life that I probably wouldn't have got a chance to experience, or, I may have, but it was a little easier playing football. So, I love this game. I think it's a game, of unity, of, togetherness, brotherhood, and you got to love it. You got to love this sport in order to go in and day out to do this sport. So it teaches you a lot of things. So this game has gave me a lot, and I want to give a lot to these kids with this game.
And of course, you played high school football at Owasso. Were you there all 4 years, and is that where you grew up?
So grew up in Irving, Texas. We moved out there when I was in about 7th or 8th grade. And so I played all my high school years for Owasso, and great experience. Had two head coaches, one being Kurt Frederick. The first year I was out there, my sophomore year, played for him, and then played for Bill Patterson for 2 years. So it was it was a great experience, and obviously, set me up for my future.
Another exciting thing about you were a Division I football player. You went to Iowa State. When did you know you're going to be a D1 player, and what was that like getting to experience being recruited?
Kind of weird. I didn't know all the way up and through, 10th grade is when I really start blossoming and blooming. I start stretching a little longer instead of wider. Mm-hmm. And so, I think just like the determination and work from just, being a bigger guy. I have a star brother, King Jack Washington, who was just, a star from the day one that he hit the field in 9th grade all the way up through his senior year. And so, just working and, playing multiple sports really helped me. Playing basketball, playing football, doing whatever I can do, never really having an off season as far as, just playing one sport. Really kind of shaped my body and got my footwork right, got my competitive skills right. And so, by the end of 11th grade, I was blessed to have a couple offers and get to choose and pick something before entering my senior year.
All right, and did you play any spring sports like baseball or track?
I am a terrible baseball player.
Okay.
I am terrible. I went to track for one day, didn't understand why we were running, long distance, if I was going to be a sprinter, and, I went into Oklahoma history class after that.
Okay. All right, that's a freshman level course there, and for one semester, it makes sense. Yeah, but I imagine, though, just skipping ahead here a bit, you would encourage a lot of your players to be in track.
Oh, yes, sir. In my past, I've forced, any position group that I have, if I got the skills, you're going into track. I don't care if you don't run in the meet. You're going to learn how to run. You're going to learn how to be fast because fast helps everybody. Right. If you're big, let's get into wrestling. You don't have to duel,
sure.
But get in there and learn how to attack leverage and fight pressure with pressure. So, I want every kid to play every sport. You don't get this opportunity a lot. You got about, from all the way up through high school to go and pursue these teams in whatever individual sport, golf, whatever, tennis, go play and compete because, that's what colleges want to see at the end of the day, this guy compete.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. I think that's great advice for football players. Okay, so after you played at Iowa State, again, kind of the when did you know questions I like to throw here. When did you know you wanted to be coaching, and particularly in high school?
My old head coach, Paul Rhodes, always said it, from my second to third year there, you're going to be a coach. You need to get into coaching. And I always no, that's not what I want to do. I actually went to school for business and supply chain management. Haven't done anything in that field since I got the degree. But, I wanted to go into that field and pursue that and just, opportunities opened up to get into it, give it a chance, and, kind of fell in love with it from there. And that was Bill Patterson giving me my first opportunity to coach receivers in 2014.
At Owasso?
Yes, sir,
okay.
At Owasso.
And you were elevated to defensive coordinator, I believe, at Owasso for many years?
Yes, sir.
Okay. At what point were you thinking, I feel like I'm ready to take the reins and be the top guy and be a head coach?
Honestly, it's something I've always been interested in, and I've been fortunate enough to just be surrounded by a bunch of great head coaches, starting with somebody like Bill Patterson, spending that year with Kirk Frederick, who's obviously won state championships, being able to be around people like Coach Rhodes for that 4 years, just how detailed he was, kind of sitting in his office, picking his brain, learning the game. I got to spend 2 more years with him out of UCLA. And, kind of just ask him about head coaching. Got to see Chip Kelly run an organization. Got to see Bill Blankenship run an organization, how efficient he was. And got to work with Bobby Klink, who's the head coach at Sand Springs now. Got to work with Antonio Graham, who was the head coach last year at Owasso and now at Tulsa Union. Got to work with Adam Gaylor for a short stint at Jinx. And just so it's always been something. It's always been something that's I've been interested in. It's just about taking the steps and make sure I don't skip anything to get there. Okay,
so one more assistant coach question. When you were at Owasso, would that overlap with 2 state title teams or with
one? So I spent 2017 there. We won a state title.
Okay.
Beat who did we beat? I think we beat Tulsa Union that year. The only team we lost to that year in the regular season. So it was good to come back and get them. And then I left to California after that.
Okay. Well, that 2017 Owasso team, I think that was the first non-Jinxer Union team to win a 6A title since Midwest City back in 1995. But then you got to see what a state champion looked like. So I'm sure that was a very valuable experience. And then you go to you're briefly at Jinx, going to be a defensive coordinator there. The Midwest City coaching job opened up kind of later than most coaching jobs open up. It was in May. Did you see the job and you're like, okay, I want this, or did someone from Midwest City contact you? What happened first?
Just kind of heard about it through the grapevine, and was reached out to see if I would be interested in kind of discussing what the opportunity would look like coming out here. Talk to the wife, got to make sure the family is right, and thank God for her, because I wouldn't be out here if she wasn't able to just say let's go pursue it. So that's kind of how it came about. I know Midwest City from 2007, knocking us out of the playoffs. Out of the WASO, we came out here to this field, so I knew it was a good program. I knew the kids were here were good. And Coach Hall has done a wonderful job the last 13 years of building and establishing the program, helping with the legacy and stuff like that. So I knew it was in good hands. It was just about coming out here and put my own, touch to it.
Okay, and you moved, of course, obviously from the Tulsa area to the Oklahoma City area. Has that been positive?
It's been an experience.
Okay,
it's we moved about 2 days before the first day of school. And, fall camp is starting, so it's kind of, we're still kind of moving the stuff that's just in the house now. So it's been an experience, just first time AD, first time head coach, first time staying on this side of the state. It's a lot of things going on, but the most important thing right now is making sure our kids are ready to play Piedmont Friday. And
what have you liked about working here so far? What have you liked the most?
Just the kids, they're eager to learn, they're eager to play. They're eager to just be around the game and learn the game. And the people here, I've had great support even from people like Coach Jones at Dale City and Coach Dunn at Carl Albert. My principal, administration at the school has been helpful in every step of the way, and making sure that I got an opportunity to at least get started and try to have a foundation to build on.
All right, and by the way, one thing that you'll find nice about being in Oklahoma City is if you ever have a chance to go to a Thunder game, that's they're a little farther away from Tulsa, so that's one perk anyway. And hopefully you'll find other perks as far as being in the Metro goes. Okay, well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will talk about how the team's looking, how the Bombers are looking for this year. So please stick around, and you are watching the Midwest City Coaches Show on the Oklahoma Sports Network.
Celebrating 10 years. We are the Oklahoma Sports Network.
Tommy's Express Car Wash. We know how to love your ride. Try the Works Wash with our signature 14-step cleaning process, engineered to shine and shield your car from the elements. From breaking down dirt and bugs with our Detox Pre-Wash to restoring your vehicle's finish with our ceramic body wax. Give your car the best with our Top Wash. Then complete the clean with free vacuums and mat washers. Download our app and get your first 30 days of the works for free. Tommy's Express. Love your ride.
If you've lived in Oklahoma long enough, you'll know that we get extreme weather. With that extreme weather comes hail damage to your roof and an insurance claim. When that happens, there's not a better company to deal with on your insurance claim than Cantrell Roofing and Construction. Since 1987, Cantrell Roofing and Construction has proven to be the best in the business, and always remember, got hail? Call Cantrell. Call them at 405-642-8558.
In an insurance commercial and ask yourself, are they really telling me the truth? Well, guess what? They're not.
Somebody runs a red light and you think all of a sudden their insurance company's going to be all neighborly about it? Insurance companies aren't in the business of saving you money. They're in the business of keeping your money.
So remember, save our number in your phone so when tragedy strikes,
Call Rob and Will.
All right, welcome back to the Midwest City Coaches Show, again brought to you by Sacred Hearts, or Intertwined Hearts Ministry, and Toonie Buys Houses. Again, so happy to be joined by the Midwest City head coach, the new head coach, Jaquez Washington. All right, Coach Washington, you guys had a scrimmage last week against Norman North. What were your thoughts?
It's never as good as it seems. It's never as bad as it seems. There were some good things we put on tape. There were some bad things we put on tape. Really just, everything's a coachable moment. Even the stuff that's good is coachable, to figure out how we can make it better. And then the stuff that was bad, we just got to keep improving and coaching it and teaching it, So if we don't like something we're seeing on tape as far as the staff, it's our job to teach and fix it. And these kids, they'll do it. Our kids will play hard. They play really hard. We just got to do it more disciplined. We got to do it with better execution, and we got to do it with better communication.
And one more thing about your background being coming from Owasso. That's viewed as around here a massive 6A school, and Midwest City is now a 5A school. Is there a bit of an adjustment for you as far as like the number of players on your roster and plugging in players at different positions and looking at players that may have to go both ways and stuff like that?
Yeah, just the prep, the unique way we have to set up practice to crossover prep, but just also, just with us learning two different systems right now, it's about putting guys in the best position to succeed. And so, we have to get creative as a staff and figure out, how are we going to get this taught in this short period of time. I think I was able to hire Ryan Richardson, kind of towards the end of July as offensive coordinator. So it's about how can we get the stuff taught efficiently, and it's just a short period of time. And I think camp allowed us to just set a foundation and identify guys who can do what positions to put them in, who is retaining a lot, who's not retaining enough, and try to put them in situations where they can be successful.
All right, you mentioned coaches. And I know I asked you this a few days ago, but how did that process go of finding assistant coaches, or are you familiar with any of them? And a lot of them were still here last year, so which is good to have. They're very familiar with the players and stuff like that. So I imagine that helps.
When it's May 29th and people in the middle of spring ball, it's kind of hard. Try to figure out who can do what and who is where. So kind of just by through this avenue, I heard about this guy and reaching out to him, sitting down with him, talking ball, learning about him, what type of man they are, and that's kind of how the staff got put together. Just being so late, and we got some good guys here, that care about the kids and want to see the kids succeed in teaching football.
But you're going to be the head coach and defensive coordinator, I believe, the defensive play caller, however that goes. Is that going to be a challenge, being able to still keep up with how things are going on offense while you're putting a lot into the defense?
I think Coach Rod does a good job of sitting down with me, giving me feedback on what he's thinking and what situation he's got going on, and us helping each other. He's been a head coach. He's been an offensive coordinator in the past. He's done it. And so, just utilizing him to piggyback ideas off of and, how he did it. And, my emphasis right now is the defense and, focusing on that. But obviously I know I'm the head coach, so we'll see Friday night if I forget about it or not.
And maybe you're not ready for this yet, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Were there any players that stood out that in a positive way for the scrimmage that you want to mention, or are you still kind of waiting to talk about the players that are playing well until Friday?
I think, a couple things that stuck out. Lincoln King was able to line up all over the place and have success. And, Ryan Holloway ran the ball well after being a year off of football. I think we had a freshman, and Zoe was able to play some defensive end and some running back who ran the ball well. Up front, we had Baby Jones, DeAdrian Jones, who blocked well. DQ was good to see him back. He was banged up a little bit in the spring. Dominique Cochran up front, and, just having the ability to, kind of create some lanes and create some space. And then Ja'Cory Fletcher has had an exciting summer. Excited to see what he can do versus Piedmont on Friday. And, seeing Valor Vaughn come over from, Crossing Christian. And, I'm at Community Christian College in Norman, and just, okay, it's a different pace, and just see him, get involved in the mix. And I think it was a lot of kids at Splash Plays. Kendall Butler, a sophomore, who showed some big-time plays up in the JV scrimmage. So, every day we're learning something new about these kids. And I think, that's where we're at in the program right now, and it's just about getting the best 11 on the field.
And you mentioned Dominique Cochran. I liked how he kicked, even though he barely missed, I think, an extra point. It wasn't at the distance, and he got a good distance on that kick. Mm-hmm. So that'll be interesting to watch. What can you say about the quarterbacks?
I think both bring a different dynamic to the game. And, utilizing them both is probably going to be the game plan going forward, to keep defenses off schedule. I think they both can run. Lincoln is an elite runner from the backfield, got a strong arm. He can make throws. Valor can control the offense and make the throws and does a good job of commanding the huddle, and he can get out and get loose when he needs to. So I think, utilizing both of them, at our disposal to create advantages.
Yeah, and one thing I like about you said Valor as a quarterback is Lincoln King can play receiver. So anyway, all right. So Piedmont, the opponent, and of course this game will be on the Oklahoma Sports Network for Tom Carpenter and I to announce. I cannot wait, Coach, till Tom interviews you at the end of the game, and I'm sure that'll be fun. It's always a treat there. But your focus is, of course, on Piedmont, but like a lot of these teams, you don't really know a whole lot about them because they haven't played yet, same as you. Mm-hmm. So what are your thoughts about the Wildcats?
I think, Piedmont is going to be a team that's going to stress your, discipline and, execution of doing your job, play in and play out offensively. They run a beautiful flex bone. Coach Hall has done a wonderful job out there, and they're going to be where they're supposed to be. They're sound. They play hard defensively. They run to the ball. They give you some kind of quirky things to think about defensively in order to, try to have success on offense. So we got to put ourselves in advantageous situations on third down to where we can kind of dictate what they'll be in, because if you get them in third or long, they can send pressure. They can drop into some different coverages, just give you some unique looks, for a young quarterback to try to diagnose post-snap. Offensively, everybody just has to do their job. I think we all know what Piedmont's going to do. They're going to line up, and they're going to test you every play. And, last year at the Bombers, we were able to play some great defense most of the game. There was a couple big plays of just like, a guy didn't do his job one play. And so stressing to our defense, like, you got one assignment. Do your job every play. Don't get bored in doing your job. But they're going to play hard. They're tough. They're a good ball club. Coach well.
All right, let's look at the overall schedule here if I have that. I had a condensed version there. So what's interesting is you got 4 non-district games and 6 district games. Usually it's 3 and 7. And you'll have a bye week towards the end of the season, week 9. I guess one of the questions about this schedule is obviously you're playing a couple of big rivals coming up with Carl Albert and Del City, with Putnam City West in between there. But the most important games are, of course, the district games that determines playoffs and playoff seedings. Do you look at the non-district games as very important, but at the same time maybe you can coach some things a little differently, and then you'll be like, hey, the season really starts that first district game, I believe, against Southeast?
One thing we're going to be about is competing. So, like, when they turn the scoreboard on, that's a game, and we want to win it. And so, like, I know I understand – that district play and the games that count towards your playoff seeding and all that stuff starts after the Del City week. But, anytime we want to, take the field in between those white lines, if they turn the scoreboard on, we're competing. And so that's how I view it. I want to see our kids go out there and compete and try to win at everything they do in life.
All right. Well, very good, Coach. We're looking forward to it. So once again, Midwest City football will begin their new era with new head coach Jaquez Washington, but it's an exciting era. I've talked to some coaches about it, and they're very pumped about this season and what the possibilities are, and we can't wait to bring you these games on the Oklahoma Sports Network. So I want to remind you again, please tune in at 6:30 for pregame for Midwest City and Piedmont. Tom Carpenter and I will have that game. We will show you some perhaps some clips of this show here, and then 7 o'clock. Around that time, the kickoff between the Bombers and the Wildcats. All right, Coach, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
All right, and we appreciate all of you for watching. Again, this is the Midwest City Coaches Show on the Oklahoma Sports Network.
Thanks for watching this presentation of the Oklahoma Sports Network.